Ooh, options. Okay, awesome. So welcome. This is February 26th. It's a Sunday, and this call is themed Self-Care Sunday. For lots of us, Sunday is the day where we regroup and make a plan for our week and how to take care of ourselves. It's also a day that we treat ourselves. So I decided this Sunday to look into what makes me the healthiest, happiest person throughout the week. And so I wore this shirt as a reminder. It says, eat your veggies, drink your water, move your body, and sleep at night. And it was Pink Shirt Day the other day, and I was taking care of this 95-year-old man, and he was reading my shirt, and he's like, those are very important points. He's like, I would never have made it to 95 if I didn't do those things. I was like, that is so cool. But it's something that as we get really busy in our lives, we tend to forget. So I thought some tips and tricks on those core 4 would be really good. And in addition to that, I wanted to do some extra ones. So I wanted to talk about first our breath. Because right now I realize so many of us are shallow breathers, and I've just witnessed through yoga the power of breathing and how it can change our lives. And there's a lot of people that recommend meditation, and I'm one of those people that haven't fully gotten into it. But what I can do is I can sit and breathe. And so I think that's a wonderful way to step into it, is just giving yourself some quiet space and then taking deep inhales in through your nose and then out through your nose, and just feeling how that shifts your energy. And if you're feeling a lot of stress, this is one of the best times to do it. But even if you're at your baseline, it's such a great reminder, because our lungs, they fill up. They actually go all the way down like our back. They all go all the way up here. And if you think of your average breath, you're just filling up like little puffs of them. So it's good to fully use that space and really get into it. And not just for our mindfulness, but I'm a registered nurse. From a health perspective, in the hospital, we have these little breathing games. They're like a ball on a pipe, and I have to teach people how to take a big breath by making it a fun game for them. It's called incentive spirometry. So just being mindful of filling our lungs is a really great step towards being more energized and that kind of thing. And then one of my other favorite points is water and hydration, because a lot of time we don't think of hydration as something that's going to give us that big boost of energy. Oftentimes when you're feeling like that lag in the day or in the morning, we reach for coffee. And I had this experience the other day. I was in orientation at a new job, and orientation sometimes can be painfully boring, especially if you're just sitting there watching someone else show you how to do paperwork. And I was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I hit this wall, and I was like, I think my eyes are actually closing. I need to do something. So I went to the kitchen and I got a big glass of water and I drank that. I was like, oh, that's what it was. I was on someone else's time that day and I wasn't drinking water, and I didn't bring a water bottle. It just reminded me hydration is so important. A huge percentage of our bodies is made up of water. And a huge percentage of living things are made up of water. And we know how important it is to water a plant or our fruits or vegetables. We need to water ourselves too. So that's the first bullet point on my shirt, is hydration and how important it is. And my friend the other day showed me this really cool thing I had never heard of called Find a Spring. And apparently you can bring your own water and you can find springs by using this website. And then you can go and get a really good source of water. Has someone else used this?
So being in Newfoundland, I drive by a natural spring every day on my way to school, and there's always people parked at the side of the road with their big bottles filling them up there.
Yeah, that just is such an amazing way to give yourself, because it does matter the quality of our water. That's why water filters and things are such a big deal, is because it does matter what source of water you put into your body. So that's something that I think, I just moved to Victoria and I'm so excited to look. I'm sure there's got to be a spring on this island. So I'm excited for that. Another thing on this is I'm going to go into movement. So I've been holding myself back a little bit lately, because I, at one point last year, had done a yoga teacher training. And I had this really high standard of myself of what yoga would mean to me and what I would do. And it was almost like I have to start over all again, because I've been traveling so much, I haven't been practicing. So to get on my mat was really hard, because I can't even touch my toes right now. So today I put on this 11-minute Strala yoga class, because Strala yoga focuses on our breath and connection. It's not about popping yourself into a handstand or being super strong. It's about following your breath into the movement of your body. So I recommend Strala yoga. Anyways, I did this 11-minute class today, and I was like, it's not about touching my toes. It was about getting on my mat and moving my body. and just like finding those simple ways of movement that makes you happy. I think it's the worst thing if you're going and you're trying to punish your body through exercise, or you're doing something that you just dread, because there's so many wonderful ways that you can move your body. I think that going for walks is one of the other top tips I could say, because not only does it get you outside and you get some fresh air, but you're moving your body. And movement and exercise does not have to be this intense fitness class or anything like lifting heavy weights. We just got to move our bodies. And I like to use animals as an example for this, because anyone who's watched a dog or a cat wake up from a nap, the first thing they do is do a big stretch, and they move their bodies. I just think we often, our stretches to like our phone, like what time is it? Do I have any messages? We really need to just like move our bodies in all sorts of ways, and just whatever feels good to us. So yeah, walking and stretching, I think, are your two top tips for movement. And then if you find an exercise class that really gets you going, then that all the more power to you. I think like there's so many fun things now, like Zumba and ways that you can do exercise. So get out and do that. I don't know if I can use all the fancy words. I did a health coaching course this year, and something that really amazed me was the lining of our blood vessels essentially have what they described it as like medication bottles lining our blood vessels. And when we move our bodies, the blood flow releases those medicines, but it's like our body's natural chemicals. And so just being able to get your blood flow going in your body is going to release all these natural healing properties. And it's actually how they founded, I think it was nitro spray that you use for heart attacks that like open up your blood vessels more, was along the principles of what they found within the movement of the blood flow in the body and releasing your own natural mechanisms for that. So it's really neat, the actual like research that's gone into why we need to move our bodies. But if we just, again, just like we look at plants for watering our plants, and we look at animals to move our body, if we just think of what living things naturally do and do a little bit of that every day, is awesome. And the next thing is sleep. I think that I also, as a shift worker, working 12-hour shifts in the hospital, struggled with sleep for so long, because I would lay there and stress out, okay, this is how many hours I have to sleep. I have to wake up at this. I have to shift my sleep this way and that way. And I think some top sleep tips are, one, if you have so many things racing through your head as you're trying to fall asleep, grab a pen and paper and just start writing them down. Because as soon as you write them down, they can stop circulating in your head, because you're doing that because you think, I need to remember this in the morning, or I really want to do that. But if you write that down on a piece of paper, you just take that time and do that, then you don't need to let it circle in your head anymore. It's out. And then it's there for you in the morning, because how many times do you think of this really great idea at night, and then by the morning it's gone? So there's like two benefits to that. Another thing, I don't know if I'm on board with this 100% or not, because it involves having your smartphone at your bedside, but I really started to get into this sleep cycle app that evaluates your sleep, and Rachel's on here. I'm like competitive with it. The other day, I'm staying at my friend's house while I wait for possession of my condo, and the other day we woke up and all she heard from me was 100%, like as if I just won a game. So being able to monitor your sleep is kind of like when you do like a food diary. It's like almost like a sleep diary. It holds you accountable to, like, if you didn't get that much sleep, you know that you want to set a goal and get more sleep. And so whatever amount of sleep makes you feel good is what's important. And don't be afraid to have a nap once in a while if you need to. Cats nap all the time, so can't be that bad for us. Just make sure that you are having healthy sleep habits. On your iPhone now, there's an option to go into night shift mode. That's a great thing to do in the evenings, because then you're like decreasing the stimulus. Reading a book before bed, just winding down, maybe some relaxing tea, just things that you know will help wind you down. I just was reading in a book today that there's some people that their heads are so overactive that in order to sleep, they'll eat like a really greasy meal because they know it's going to make them tired, or they will drink or do drugs just to calm them down. And I think if we invest in these core 4 things, we won't need to do those additional vices because our bodies will feel so good. We won't need to do that. I know another person that uses sleeping pills, not because they have trouble sleeping, but because they feel like they have too many good ideas. So again, finding time to give yourself space to write those ideas down and get them out of your head so that you don't need to medicate yourself to to be able to sleep because of them. I just think that's so sad. So that's why I'm really passionate about these things, is because sometimes we just forget. And when life gets busy, we get into a rut. It's good to just reflect and be like, how can I get back on track? And it always comes down to the simplest things. And then that's why the last thing I want to talk about is nutrition, because that was like the big game changer for me, was realizing that my nutrition was just terrible. And when I first started looking into this, I realized that sugar was just damaging my body so much. And what I did for my simple change of that was I started reading ingredient labels and looking at grams of sugar. Because before, I was a girl that believed like food would make me fat or it would make me thin. And that's what food meant to me. But now when I look at food, I look at what nutrition is this giving me. And my whole perspective of food changed once I started looking at ingredients as opposed to calories, and realizing that we don't need low fat and we don't need those things, because our body actually needs fat. It's a key element to how our brain functions, is having healthy fats. It's just a matter of getting the right fats. And another thing that I love teaching people is we don't need low carb, we need right carb. Because when we look at simple carbs, what they do to our body is they spike our blood sugar, and then it crashes our blood sugar, and it releases a massive amount of insulin, and then our blood sugars crash. And that's why people do low carb, is because they want to try and balance their blood sugar. But the thing about that is our muscles in our body, they can break down and create their own sugar, their own source of sugar, but our brains can't. And so when you do low carb, your brain is not getting the sugar it needs, and our cells need sugar to function. If you don't have sugar in your body, like if your blood sugar is 0, you're dead. So when you do low carb and you starve your brain of that sugar, that's when you see your mood is like really off kilter. The other day I was in the store and I didn't eat before I went, and I could tell my blood sugar was low, and I was on edge, and I know I just needed to have carbs in my body, but I didn't do it. Because that's why I love teaching this, is because it reminds me that I need to focus on this too. It's a continual cycle of like evaluating what you're doing and then seeing where you can get better. So with carbs, I like to look at the sugar content in it. One thing that like I don't do anymore is I don't drink juice boxes ever. Because when I look at it, the grams of sugar are like 24 to 30 grams or more in a juice box, and absolutely no fiber. And that's so just like, whew. Once I learned how fiber and sugar interact, I was like, oh, I need to pair my sugar with fiber. So what fiber does is it slows that sugar release into your body. So you're not having that huge spike, but you're still supplying your brain with a nice, healthy sugar balance. So when you look at things, you want to make sure that there's fiber in them, because it's what our body needs. There's recently a talk that I went to on the microbiome, the health of your gut, and she said something like, if you just increase your intake of fiber by 10 grams a day, you would notice massive changes in your body. So along with fiber, make sure you're drinking lots of water, because fiber will help your bowels, or if you don't have enough water, it can bung you up a little bit. So again, hydration is important. Now I need to remember where I was going with this. The ingredient labels and the sugar. So read your ingredient labels and just look. Like, this is what stops me so often from grabbing like the old comfort foods, is I look at it and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to put that in my body. Like modified cornstarch or like palm oil or things like that. That's what like gets me to stop and be like, okay, this is just chemicals and this isn't food and this isn't going to make me feel good. So what can I do? And then I go look at an apple. I'm like, oh, there's not even an ingredients list on that, so it has to be good. So that's just a key thing. When I started doing this, I started looking at like canned beans, and I was like, why is there sugar in this? And packaged chicken, and I just started cutting that out. What I noticed in those like days of doing that is, first I went through a bit of like a withdrawal feeling, because I had had so much sugar in my diet before. And then my body just adjusted. So I used to be the person, when I would get a coffee from Tim Hortons, I would get the double. And then once I started cutting sugar out, things like that just became way too sweet for me. So if you are trying to cut sugar out, there is hope for you. Your body does change, because our bodies do this thing called metabolic programming, where once you start giving your body something, it starts to crave that. And it works for us and it works against us. So if you eat like a hefty chocolate bar and you go down that road, you're going to go down that road of metabolically programming your body. That's what your body is going to crave. You start filling your body with good nutrition and you eat like more plants, that's what your body's going to crave. And so finding ways to get more plants into your diet is always a good idea. Juicing is one way to do that, but there's other things that I think are a bit better than juicing, just because, again, with a juice, you're moving all the fiber. So when I think of juicing, I also think that huge sugar spike is going to happen because there's no fiber. It's going to have a high sugar content. So I like better than juicing is smoothies because you're getting all that plant nutrition, but when you have a smoothie in a blender, you still have all the fiber in it from the original fruits and vegetables in it. So I always opt for smoothies over juices. Another way that people try to bridge the gap in their nutrition is multivitamins. And this is really hard for me as a nurse now, because once I finally looked into the research of multivitamins, they're not absorbed by our bodies. And there's been multiple research articles, even like covers of magazines, saying that most multivitamins, actually all multivitamins, they've never had a positive study showing that they had any benefit to somebody's health. And I mean, as a nurse, I have to give these multivitamins to my patients, and I can't really say like, oh, you probably shouldn't take this because it's a doctor's order, and I can't. It's just so hard for me. But I know the research out there, they had this massive study where they looked through lots of research of people that took multivitamins and people that didn't. And the people that took the multivitamin died sooner than the people that didn't take it at all. So it's not saying vitamins aren't good for you. It just means that when they're isolated and they're synthetic, our bodies don't recognize them and they're not absorbed. So before you look into any sort of supplementation, I encourage you to look at the research, because doctors are prescribing these multivitamins, and so people think doctor says yes, that means yes. But when you look at the research, if this isn't even absorbed in my body, then why would it help me at all? So I like to look at the research on things now more than I ever did. And another thing with our food supply is, have you ever cut open a strawberry recently and just seen that it's all white on the inside? This is what's really hard for me now, is we spend like $6 to $8 on a bundle of strawberries, and you cut it open and it's white on the inside. Means there's not a lot of nutrition in it. You just bought some like really expensive fiber. Because what happens is the nutrition enters the plant in the last 48 hours the most. But if in California they picked that strawberry when it was red and juicy, it would not be red and juicy by the time it came to Canada. It just simply wouldn't be. So I don't think that we need to stop eating our fruits and vegetables because the nutrition is depleted in them. I just think we need more of them. But when the recommendations keep going up and up and up, it's really hard to fit that into our days. And one way you can get more fruits and vegetables into your day is actually planning out your meals for the day. And so on Sundays, and I think most people need to meal plan twice a week, just because if you're eating lots of plants, you're not going to want to store those plants for 7 days all the time. So meal planning like twice a week is a good idea. But then again, the issue lies in the quality of them and how we can get more. And that's why I just wanted to touch on Juice Plus. And I have all my capsules here, just so you can see what they look like in the bottles. There's 3 kinds that I take. That's what they offer. And they're just capsules that look like that. And why I want to bring that up is I've taken these for 2 years. And I think I'm very much a gypsy person. I have traveled for 3 years now. So the last 2 years, no matter where I was in the world, I had these capsules, and I started to become more and more thankful for them. What they are is, it's really simple. They are grown on, they're fruits and vegetables. That's it. That's all that's in them. And they're grown on these family-run farms to the highest quality. They don't have any pesticides or herbicides sprayed on them. And then they're picked when they're fully ripe. So that means that they have the most nutrition in them. And they can do that because they don't have to ship them anywhere. They're processed locally. And what they do is they grind them up completely. And what I love about it is they do the pits, the peels, and the seeds as well in all of the fruits and vegetables where you can have the pits and peels and seeds. Because sometimes you're not supposed to eat the seeds of apples. So it's good to have the pits and peels and seeds of some of the plants. Like oranges, 80% of the vitamin C in orange is in the peel. But when I eat an orange, I never eat the peel. And for the same for avocados. There's no avocados in this, but I heard the pit is so full of nutrition. But I still have not gotten the habit of putting the pit in anything that I'm eating. So I just think if I can find a way to have higher quality nutrition that's simple and convenient, and then I get the pits, peels, and seeds, the most nutritious parts of the plant. And then it comes down to the variety, because the variety is what matters more than the quantity a lot of the times. Because onions have this amazing cancer fighting phytonutrient in them that no other plant has. And so if you're getting the variety of all different kinds of fruits and vegetables, you're going to get all the different benefits of it. I don't know the last time I ever got 30 different fruits and vegetables in one day. So taking these capsules makes it so that I can get that nutrition every single day and that huge variety. And that's just like the what of it is why I love it. Because when you're traveling, you might have at home in your routine, you might have like some powders and stuff like wheatgrass powder or different things. But when you travel, you can't really bring that with you. I say when you're flying, you can't bring a bundle of fruit with you when you travel to another country, but you can bring these anywhere, and it's so easy. It takes like 6 seconds to pop them. That's what I really love. And one of the reasons why I really love sharing it is because of the difference it makes. There's research on them as well, which again I touched on before. Before you take anything, you should know about the research. That's how a friend brought this up to me, was she knew that I was a nurse and I took a statistics and research course in school. And so she had these research articles that were done by Yale and Vanderbilt and all these prestigious universities on these capsules, but she wanted me to tell her like what a p-value was and all the like research significance in these articles. And when I looked at it, I was like, this is actually amazing. So they had 2 groups in all of these studies that they did, and they did over 30 different studies. They had one group that took a placebo, and they had one group that took the capsules, but neither group knew which one they were on. And then most of the studies were based off of blood work, and that's something that you can't fake, and you can't have like a placebo effect because the blood work won't lie. And what they found was that there was significant differences in the people that took these capsules, like less broken strands of DNA, decreased inflammation levels. They found improved cardiac markers of health, just like also like the bioavailability. So like I said, the multivitamin, how they found that it wasn't being absorbed into the body. They found that the nutrients from fruits and vegetables that you expect to get from them, they're not on the labels because they're not added to the fruits and vegetables. Just the fruits and vegetables are on these labels. A lot of people look at the capsules and they're like, oh, there's no nutrients in here, because it's not isolated nutrients. It's just fruits and vegetables. So the things that they found, like beta carotene, went like way up in people's bloodstream. And that's one thing that people often take a supplement for. Because when you get old, you get macular degeneration. And the supplement that they prescribe for that is synthetic beta carotene. So what I love is we know when you take the Juice Plus capsules, then your beta carotene levels go up. So you know that it's being absorbed by your body. And then you know the link to that disease. You have a chance of preventing it. What I love is the stories. My grandpa was aging. He's 87 now. And he had a whole schwack of health problems. And I was just kind of like at a point, like my grandma died 3 years ago. And he was only wanting to live one day past my grandma. And so it's been 3 years since she died. I've been on the fence of how much I want to help him as a nurse, because I just want him to have this like peaceful death. You know, it's hard to say that, but I just want him to be at peace. So in the last 2 years, he was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. He had heart failure, kidney failure, diabetes, as well as his eyes were failing. His balance was failing. He was having falls. He had a catheter in, and he was bleeding from his bladder. So I think he had some sort of cancer there. And he was in the hospital like 2 to 3 times a month. His breathing would get so bad from the heart failure that when he would go in, they'd have to like cut his clothes off and put him on a breathing machine. And even just like watching him fight for his breath when he wasn't in the hospital was just like too much for me. And so I just finally was like, well, you know what? Like these pills have helped me with my health so much. Like, is it too late for an 87-year-old man? Like, would they make a difference? Like, I don't want to save his life, but I really just can't watch this anymore. You know, so I started him on the capsules, and my mom was fantastic about reminding him to take them every day because he was so confused all the time. Within that first month, he never ended up back in the emergency room. And now it's been over 9 months, and he's never ended back in the emergency room, not once. And he was there 2 to 3 times a month before. It's just amazing. He spent like the 2 years before that in and out of hospital constantly. And now it's been almost a whole entire year he hasn't been back. And the doctors are just absolutely blown away because he has to meet with specialists. And he was so sick that they're like, you can't see a normal family doctor. Like you have to see a cardiologist and an internal medicine specialist and like a doctor for your diabetes. You can't just go to a normal doctor. But the normal doctor is the one that prescribed his pills for the nursing home he just moved into like 3 months ago, and they forgot to prescribe his main heart medication. And the nurses at the nursing home didn't notice that it was missing from his previous prescription. So for at least 2 months, he was not getting his main heart medication. So he went for his checkup with his cardiologist, and the cardiologist noticed this, and he was so mad. He said, there's absolutely no way you should be alive without this pill. And my grandpa was there healthy, like as healthy as he's been all year, and it made no change. But they put him back on it. But it's just amazing that he didn't get the medication he was supposed to get for his heart, and he's still kicking. I just am so amazed. And not only that, the urologist, because he had like a list of specialists this long, but the urologist said he would never get that catheter out. And he was having frequent infections with it before taking these capsules too. But then within, I think, 2 months of taking these capsules, his catheter was able to come out, and he's peeing on his own, which is crazy for an 87-year-old man who's had a catheter in for, I think, over 6 months he had it. And since then, he's been peeing on his own completely. And his confusion level before taking these capsules was so bad that I was having to like dress him and undress him. And one day he tried to poop in a garbage can in the hospital. I had to stop him and hold him and be like, don't do that. It's just like, just seeing the difference in him has made all of sharing this so worth it. Because what it's done for my life is amazing, and I'll take these for life. But sharing it, if I could help one person the way that helped my grandpa, that's what like really matters to me, is because getting to see your loved one go from there to there and just getting their quality of life just so much better, that's what matters to me. So that's a big spiel about it, but I love sharing it, because who knew that you could get so much nutrition in a little capsule. And it's easy and convenient. It costs like $3 a day. I talked about buying that bundle of strawberries for $8 that lasts, maybe if you're one person, you can make it last 2 days. But if you're a family, it lasts like minutes. So just the quality of nutrition you can get. And kids can get the chewable version of these for free under the Children's Health Study. So free nutrition for kids is always a win. And then the second thing from them that I'd like to share is these little shake packages. Because I think we always struggle to get so many meals in a day of quality meals, and how we start our day is so important. So they have like a high dose of fiber in them and another 15 plants. So if you get 30 fruits and vegetables through the capsules and you get another 15 through those shakes, like your gut health will be singing. So I just like to share those, because that's another thing that we did for my grandpa. So it's been a whole year and he hasn't ended up in the hospital, but in January, I think it was, marked his like few months at that nursing home, and he had lost 30 pounds in less than 3 months because he hated the food there. So even though his health was incredible, like everything was stable, his blood sugars, his heart and his kidneys, everything was good, he still lost 30 pounds. It's really significant, and everyone was getting really concerned. And so they tried to put him on Boost and Ensure. And my mom, bless her, she was like, do not give that to him. Like, you are not allowed to give that to him. I was just so thankful that she's always there to stand up for him. So what we did was, like, that day I brought in a whole bunch of shakes, and I talked to the nurses. I was like, this is the meal replacement we'd like to give him to bridge his gap. You can give him 2 of these a day. And then within a couple of weeks, he perked back up. And his weight came up and his health came up, and he had this meeting with a dietitian, and she was referred when he was at that like low point of his weight, and now he's like back up to where he like a healthy man should be again. And she was like, came with the sheet of a handout and was like, these are the things you can do. I looked at it and I was like, oh my God. So the shake that they're recommending to people that are losing weight for medical reasons or as they age because they don't like food is a cup of like full fat milk, cream, ice cream, fruit, and then some flavoring. And I looked at this and I was like, people are going to see this handout because it's from like the health region and be like, awesome, I get to have ice cream for all my meals. And they're going to miss out on so much nutrition. It just like broke my heart that there's not a better option for them. And as a nurse, I'm giving like Boost and Ensure to people. I just wish I could be like, I wish I could bring these shakes in for you, you know, because I get to see the difference it made in my grandpa and in me and just so many people. And then as a nurse, I just feel stuck in this point. So this call was about how I can't help people all the time the way I want as a nurse, but I do get to share with you guys. So thank you so much for coming on it. I hope that today you think like make a plan, some bullet points. I'm reading an awesome book right now. Yeah. Have it right here. I started to make a point of I want to read a little bit every day as well. And in it had like these bullet points to like your to-do list. And one of them I remember was like have a salt bath. So that's something I'm going to do today. But since it's Sunday, take some self-care. If you need to have a bath, maybe try a Himalayan salt bath because he says it's really good for you. So There's different things you can do. Maybe diffuse some nice smelling oils, or have that cup of tea in the happiest cup in the world. Just do things that like really light up your soul. Spend time with people you love. Just have an awesome day. So I'm going to stop the recording. And if you want to ask any questions, you can. Yeah.